No, no, no. I'm not going to pay you for you to send me the money that you owe me. What? Hey, welcome back to my channel. My name is Chelsea. Welcome if you are new. On this channel, we do like to talk about anti-scam stuff, and I also like to talk about spooky stuff from time to time. I will get more into that later. Today, we are talking about anti-scam stuff, and we have an update on the Tranzact card and how it is no longer a thing. Or is it? Turns out they changed their name. So they made a big announcement last night. And I know a couple other creators have already talked about this, but I really wanted to watch this video. The same guy that I reacted to in my last Transact card video, he is the one that made this update video. So we are going to watch his video without further ado. I'm talking insanely fast. And this guy's going to be too. It's a really long video, so I'm going to speed it up like I did last time in the other video, and we're going to see what he has to say about this new update.
Good to see everybody. I just want you all to imagine that we're sitting in a sports bar and we're pounding down some shots. I'm joking, of course. I haven't had any alcohol for a long time, but I couldn't help myself. So anyway, you guys all saw that I announced that on Monday evening I will do a comprehensive recap. And my purpose for this session is not to do a comprehensive recap. My purpose for this session is to realize that when I was listening to the corporate Zoom earlier, parts of it were confusing to me. And I've been in parts of the discussions that have been going on for the last couple of weeks, those their leadership council and so on. I've been part of quite a few conversations that you folks have not been a part of. And even though I had that background of being in those other conversations, I did not leave that Zoom a couple of hours ago with clarity. And
okay, so yeah, he's part of the leadership council for the Transact card, or FinMore, whatever it's called now. And what he just said that I paused, I heard this part earlier, he said he didn't leave that big corporate meeting with clarity. So I remember in that last video, I feel like it was just less and less clear, like what was going on with this company. And according to this guy, it's still not clear. So let's keep going. Let's see what else.
And really having a sense of understanding of what needs to happen next and what has happened. And so what I want to do for this session, well, first of all, I'll answer any question. There's no question that's not okay. You want to put anything in the text stream, I'll answer any question if I know the answer to it. And if I don't know the answer to it, then I'll do my best to get the answer for you. But I want to describe to you what there were a handful of questions that seemed to be the very most front question was, are we now building two companies? No, we are not building two companies. The name of the company we are building is called FinMore. There, as we all know, there has been...
Remember that he said that. Just put a pin in that.
A lot of baggage. The way that I describe it, I'm a pilot, and if there's a bunch of rocks in the runway, you can't get the airplane off the ground. I mean, there has to be a clear runway in front of you. And by the way, Richard Smith is my friend. He's not a man that I've done business with before. He remains my friend, though it is absolutely the fact that he said some things which I then repeated wound up not being accurate. I own that. I don't blame Richard for that. I own that. But the fact is that there were a lot of things said in the very earliest days of launching our business that are not reality today. And so the thing that I want everybody to know and understand with clarity is that, when I heard my peers on the leadership council for saying how universally excited they are right now. It's the most excited they've ever been. Jaime, I got to tell you, I was pretty excited when I told you could get 39 accounts and make 150 grand a year. That to me was exciting. I mean, that's exciting. And I didn't see something today that would replace that. What I did see, however, today was something that can last and that can work for a long time. And in my overzealous eagerness to help people who I know need to make money so quickly, I embraced a thought that was in fact not entirely sustainable. And we all know that. That's neither here nor there. The point is that you've all...
I like that he admits to that like this previous thought and thing that he was promised and promising other people was actually not attainable nor sustainable. So it's good that they recognize that, at least this particular person does. But he's over here still talking about, believing in the company and saying it's going to get better. So let's see what we have to offer in the next few minutes here.
Those of you who have been to my various leadership teachings and trainings, I know that my artwork is incredibly bad, but I'll use some here. The one thing that I find is really occurring right now, a whole bunch, is this. Here we have our typical member, and if my typical member is walking around and that typical member is carrying the baggage of, but Randy, you told me that I could go out there and get 39 accounts. As a result of getting 39 accounts, I could make $150,000 a year in a bonus pool. Or I'm carrying the baggage of, Randy, you told me I only had to become a manager, and that only meant I had to be a DBO and enroll 3 people who do the same, and that would make me $6,000 a year. I cannot tell you how much I wish that this picture had been an accurate and true and correct picture. I really, really, really wish that was an accurate, correct.
That's like so simple though. I can't understand why somebody would believe that, because we always say things, people in general, there's things when you hear That if it sounds too good to be true, sorry, totally tongue-tied right now. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. But it's interesting that he didn't believe that. But again, I think there's that huge bit of desperation there where people just really want this to be true. And we want simpler things for us and our families and, you know, for life and finances. We want it to be easier because it isn't easy. So I think that's why it grew so much in pre-launch, even with so many like delays and delays and delays, that people just still wanted to hold on to the fact that this could make things easier for them.
True picture. We now know as an entire organization, this is not an accurate, correct, and true picture. Okay. We also know that the gentleman who delivered this picture, I'm not throwing anybody into the bus, but the fact is the truth is the truth, and that which is measured can be improved. The person who crafted this message that wound up not being a valid message, the person that crafted the message, we will have 100 million cards in people's hands by the end of the first quarter, in the influencer program, literally all of the things that were said, which wound up not being 100% accurate, were said by a person who is no longer a part of our company. In fact, was never a part of FinMore. But you know what? That doesn't change the fact that if we remain the company Tranzact card, that baggage is going to follow us around from now on, because people are going to be saying, but what about this? What about this? What about that? And so the decision was made.
I don't know what he's going to say next, but what does it matter anyways if we know that FinMore was formerly known as Tranzact Card? So it's like you still see that it's the same scam. The company still has like all that baggage going to it. And Tranzact Card used to be another company before that. And that's why this has been such a big deal in our community, because not only do we see the company growing, but we see this scam evolving and also still remaining a scam, you know? So it's kind of interesting. And it's just like funny that he's like, so we decided to get rid of the name to get rid of the baggage, but the baggage is still going to be there even if the name's not, in my opinion.
Made a very, very pragmatic decision, and a decision that I think was right, and a decision that I agree with. The decision was made to eliminate any possibility of our current enterprise being improperly brushed with baggage that people may be still carrying around as a result of some promises not being kept that were made in the very, very earliest days and through the first 4, 5, or 6 months of the rollout of Tranzact Card. And so what exactly and specifically has occurred, so you all know, is there has been a licensing of technology. So over here, we have a company that is called Tranzact Card. Tranzact Card continues to exist. It needs to continue to exist. Why? Because if Tranzact Card does not continue to exist, then it would be far too easy and, in fact, logical to say, well, FinMore is just Tranzact Card with a different name. And if FinMore is just Tranzact Card with a different name, and the primary person who is responsible for the misinformation that led us to a point of, I won't say calamity, but a point of great deal of concern and misunderstanding, there had to be a complete, total, and absolute break between these two companies. And so, no, FinMore is not simply a rebranding of Tranzact Card. FinMore is not an extension or a unit of Tranzact Card.
I highly disagree because of what I'm sure he's about to continue to say throughout this video.
FinMore is a brand new company. It is a company that did not exist until just a couple of days ago. And FinMore FinMore has contracted for license. What is the correct word? I don't want to say an incorrect word. Okay, no one else. Can you guys not see what I'm drawing? I'm drawing on the whiteboard. Are you guys not seeing it? My drawing is so exceptional. I hate that you couldn't see it. I'm going to go back over here, stop my share. Oh, it's too light. Gosh. Okay, you can see. So what there needed to be was a complete, total, absolute separation of the two companies. And so essentially, and I'll get this term wrong, and I apologize for it. I will clarify it for you and bring it up to speed on Monday so that the terminology is exactly right. But essentially, we have licensed technology. FinMore has licensed technology from Tranzact Card. Tranzact Card still does exist. However, a FinMore member no longer has a business association or relationship with Tranzact Card. Tranzact Card is a company. You could describe it or think of it as a shell company. Seeing yellow and white, you guys, I'm seeing some requests here to see if I can change my color. Just for sport, does that color work better? That's the red one. Can you guys see it better or no? Somebody give me a yay or nay. You guys see my red one? Let's do it over here. Better, she says. What happens if I go to black? Let's try this. I don't want to give you guys any nightmares here, because the message was used before. We're going to go from good to better to best as we talked about our banking platform transition. And so I'm not going to do that, because I will not describe this as good. This was awful. This was a little bit better. And this is okay. That's where I'd say we are right now. We are a startup company. There's no such thing as good, better, best. What there is challenging, less challenging, and acceptable as we move forward in developing this company for you. So the first question that I wanted, that I saw again and again and again and again, is, are we building two companies or are we building one? Are we Tranzact Card members or are we FinMore members? Here is the answer. FinMore is a new company. FinMore has licensed technology from Tranzact Card. All Tranzact Card members and all.
Okay, so how he talks about how we have to completely separate FinMore from Tranzact Card, but then you're still going to associate yourself by using the licensing from whatever software that Tranzact Card has. So it's like, are you trying to separate yourself from it or are you not? And he's like, it's two separate companies. We're building a new company called FinMore, and then we're going to associate ourselves with this company that has a terrible track record. Not only with the false promises and stuff that they've made. But even on, I think it was Behind MLM, and Julie Anderson covered this in her recent video, that there was a security breach and a lot of people's credit card numbers got like sold and given out. And so if you were part of this, there's a good chance that your information now is out there, and that's truly scary. So again, why are you using, they're trying to say it's a new company and that they're completely trying to disassociate with it, but then they have the licensing to use their programming, which caused a security breach, and also it's what has that terrible track record that we've been saying. So even though it's a new company and it's not necessarily Tranzact card relabeled is what he's saying, but it's still associated with it, and it always will be, because any Tranzact card member is now a FinMore card holder, card member, whatever. Your DBOs are now your digital branch offices, or IO, just whatever, FIOs, FinMore, and I don't remember whatever. The point is, they're still associated, and so he can say all he wants that it's not, but it absolutely 100% at the very least is still associated with Tranzact card, even if they're playing it off like it's a brand new company.
All genealogies, all organizations, all structures are now FinMore. And so, Jaime, you don't have to do a darn thing to cause your existing member to become a FinMore member. The existing Tranzact card member doesn't pay anything to become a FinMore member. The entire genealogy in its totality, when you log on to FinMore, your entire genealogy, that was your genealogy in Tranzact card, that is your genealogy in FinMore, okay? Not two companies. Now let's go further. The reason this was done, very, very simple. Again, very simple. People have misunderstood, and I've had several questions or several comments that the card program being introduced, all cards, was a bailout because debit cards are not in place. That's not correct. That is incorrect. And I wish that the timelines had worked a little bit differently. In America today, 61% of all people have credit card debt. And so if you have credit card debt, I'm looking at Josh the Viking right now, I have absolutely no visibility into his finances, but Josh, I'm going to use you as an example of America. Because you're an American, there's a 61% chance that you have credit card debt right now. If you're on that 61%, well, people are not putting cash into checking accounts that they can use debit cards with. What they're doing instead is they're paying down whatever their credit card balance is, so they can then re-up that credit card balance back up to the max, whatever it is. That's the life experience of 61% of Americans today. And so the ultimate objective of the company, the long-term plan, the always plan, from when I first heard about it, was to include the all cards program. And of course, you know that when we first were introduced to it, it was called Evermore. It was never intended that it would be standalone. It was intended that it would be the mechanism of preferred use for a person who does.
How come nobody ever said that? Like, they always said this is only a debit card thing. You link it to your checking account, you link it to your debit card, and then that's what you do. So you can never use it for credit cards. I do feel like, in my opinion, maybe it was the timeline, but it just really seemed like a bailout because they retracted those debit cards that they had issued and then never gave them back out. And the only way for them to get some sort of revenue or give back some of that promise of earning Z-Bucks was to create this Evermore program so you could attach any credit card to it. Also, I wanted to point out in my last video, somebody did make a great point that, so what, you know, even if that stat's right, which I wouldn't be surprised if it is. I mean, I have a bunch of credit cards, whatever, doesn't matter. But that the person in the comments was like, well, I use my credit cards not because I don't have any money in my checking account, but because when I use my credit card, I get all the points that I redeem for cash. So she makes a couple $100, or I don't remember if it was he, she, they actually make a couple $100 every month just in credit card points because they use the credit card, they pay it off, and then they get that money back in cold hard cash that they can spend on whatever they want. And for me, I use my points just to pay it back on the credit card. So like, that's also why people are using credit cards. And with that, you don't have to use that cash just at this one Z store, whatever the heck it's going to be called now, but you can use it anywhere and you could just put it right back into your account. So it's a way of earning cash, not receiving money that you can only spend in one place. Just saying.
Who doesn't have cash to be using a debit card. I mean, Josh, if you're carrying credit card debt, you're not putting money in a checking account. That's the truth. You're paying down your credit card and then leveraging it up again until the next payment comes due. And so this was designed to give us access to that 61% of people in America who would not be using the debit card. It wasn't a bailout because the debit card wasn't here. Now, it's become a very, very misappreciated, underappreciated message, because I think by and large the membership is taking it as a bailout or as a fallback or as a we couldn't get that and so we got this. That's really unfortunate. If this were being introduced the way it was designed to be introduced, with the debit card already in your hand. So now, Josh, imagine you've already got the debit card in your hand, everything's going great, and now you get the announcement. Now you can go and tell everybody that all those 61% of people who've not been able to use a debit card, don't have any cash. Now that other 61% of our entire population becomes possible to you in your candidate list. You see, had it been delivered that way, well, then that'd be a big deal, wouldn't it? That'd be a
Yeah, maybe nobody would have batted an eye if it was delivered that way, but the fact is that it wasn't. And the whole delays in the launch, that is just one piece of why this company has so many red flags and why we don't think this is legitimate. That's literally just one small piece of the puzzle. So sure, he might have a rebuttal and this may or may not be a legitimate reason, but the way it came out seems like a bailout. And now they're completely changing the company's name. You can't honestly say that you don't think, like you didn't, like, why didn't they think that was a good idea? I don't know. Like, I feel like I can't come up with words, and now I'm making word salad, but most of you guys get it. At least I hope you do. And if you have questions, put it in the comments. I know there are some people that had joined Tranzact card and then they came along and started watching my videos. Part of me thinks this guy has been watching my videos, but let's just keep going and see what else is going on with this update. We're only 10 minutes in, you guys, and this is an hour and a half. This is going to be a really long video. If you haven't got yourself a drink yet, please go get one. Yeah, because I'm probably going to have to get myself some wine if I'm being completely honest. I have like a tea seltzer right now, but I might need something a little bit more comforting for me.
really, really good deal. But instead of that, the way that it came across, and by the way, I just saw that text message. I want to ignore. Coming across as a bait and switch. By definition, a bait and switch is something that was done intentionally, right? I brought you into the business with a certain bit of information, knowing full well that I would then change that information. If there is a single person in this company, if there is even one person in this company who knew that the message we were delivering 90 days ago or 120 days ago was not an entirely accurate message, I don't know who that person is. I mean, if there is one person who was doing that intentionally, I do not know who that person is. I think even Richard Smith, who I've described as my friend, I think that he's a person of goodwill and intent. I think that he's got faults and flaws just like the rest of us do. And this particular mechanism put a spotlight on those faults and flaws and made them blossom into something that is not something that I know that he's happy about. I personally have affection for the man, and I don't believe that he ever intentionally did a darn thing to hurt anybody. That's what I think. This is far, far, far from a bait and switch. What is a bait and switch? You bring somebody in, well, this is what it's going to be, knowing full well it will not be that. And then we deliver something less. Now that's...
You don't think that, but I think that. And a lot of other people do. And perception is reality for people. I mean, that's what it is. So the perception of this company is that, yeah, it was a scam. There was a bait and switch. Things happened. And that's what it looked like. And so for a lot of people, that's what it is. Because in my opinion, that's just that, in my opinion, and the perception of it and what people saw and many other people's opinions, yeah, it was a complete sham. And all your word salad is not working for me. I just like to use the term word salad. Yeah.
Far from it. What we have been trying to do, I'll just speak now for myself, what I've been trying to do from the first moment is deliver a message that is accurate, that is correct, that is legitimate, and that would cause success for other people. Well, now we find ourselves in this environment. And my advice to every person is this. If we look at it, any of us as an individual, if we look at this certain set of realities and we say, what does this mean to me as an individual? Then I will get not a very good outcome. When instead I shifted to Generation D. And by the way, if any of you have enrolled even one person in Tranzact card, if you have enrolled one person in Tranzact card, then I would hope very much that you would share with me the feeling of obligation and responsibility that I feel for every person who's joined this business along the way as a result of my guidance. If there is one person who's joined this business along the way as a result of your guidance, then I would hope that you would join me in the idea that it is now a responsibility and an obligation of leadership to take the facts as they now exist and turn those facts into a legitimate opportunity for positive.
No. If you join this and then you recruited somebody and you're watching this video right now, or you've come across Julie Anderson's videos, or you've come across CC Suarez's videos, and you're like, oh crap, I was involved in a scam, and then you realize that you got somebody else involved, don't try to cover it up and backtrack and be a leader. Babe, get out. Get out, save yourself the money, the time, save your friend that time, that money, and just do the right thing. And to me, that's the right thing. Not pretending that this is going to change and all is going to be well and good and then y'all are going to be millionaires, because statistics show in any MLM that just will not happen with the 99% failure rate. So just keep that in mind and take everything this guy says with a grain of salt, to be completely honest. He also has a lot of, I feel like, cognitive dissonance, because you can hear him like he really keeps expressing that like he's sorry and he understands that it came off this way and it shouldn't have been and this and that. And it's like he sees the truth, but he's in this position with this company where he has to back it up and he can't exactly back out and leave. That's what it seems like to me. So I could be wrong. I'm not in that guy's head. I don't know what his life is like, but to me, that's what it sounds like. And again, let's go back to the other thing I said, perception is reality for me. So that's it.
The financial outcome for that person who joined based upon our recommendation. And that is my 100% commitment to this process. And so when I hear people saying, I'm more excited today than I've ever been, I'm not going to tell you I'm more excited today than I've ever been. That's not the truth. What I am today is deeply relieved. I am deeply relieved, Jaime and Cynthia, that I believe we have a mechanism today that is sustainable and that we can help all those people who said yes to you and said yes to me to get the outcome they wanted. Am I super excited right now? No, there's a whole bunch of heavy lifting that we have to do right now to get this message across to people. And any of us who don't do that heavy lifting will find our groups being left behind. This will take a complete overabundance of energy, willingness. And again, I don't like it when the last thing I want to do is refer to myself as an example of success or an example of correct behaviors. But all of us have to become willing to do right now what I'm doing literally at this hour. My mom is 96 years old. I see her twice per year. I've not seen her for 8 months. I'm in her living room right now. I'm talking to you. There are times when appropriate sacrifices must be made. They must be made. And for me, the simple thought is this: if there's one person in this company who acted upon your guidance, and by the way, that person who acted upon your guidance might have been your husband or wife who said, yes, they'd support you in this. It doesn't even mean you've enrolled one person. If there is a person whose hopes went up because of something you said about this company, then I hope you share with me the same sense of obligation to make that hope that was provided a reality, not just some thought. And so when we look now at the company, once again, the very first question that
No, your obligation is to just get everybody out. Again, I'll say that a million times if I have to.
received, and the most frequent question was the question of, do I need to be building two companies? Do I need to be qualifying two compensation plans? So on and so on. No, we are in one company. The name of the company is FinMore. We will be receiving commission checks from FinMore. We will not be receiving commission checks from Tranzact Card. We will be doing enrollments in FinMore. We will not be doing enrollments in Tranzact Card. It is absolutely true that today, at this moment, you can continue to use your Z-Bucks in the e-commerce site, which today we call the Z Store. And as we know, that Z Store today is populated only with a very, very, very small number of items, 30 or 40 items that are available in flash sales only and specials.
I like the way he said, as of today, you can still use the Z-Bucks, which almost makes me wonder then, are those points still going to be taken back away? Even though in many of the Facebook groups that I've seen, the posts that say, don't worry, all your stuff's going to just transfer into this new system. But this guy's like, maybe. I don't know. That's the vibe I got.
Also, I don't think there wasn't much said about that club today, about what was been called the Z Club. Not much said about the FinMore marketplace. I want to give you a little more clarity on the FinMore marketplace. It is going to be a process, not an event. And so I think you can own this. None of us, not me, not you, I don't believe that any of us will be embarrassed by the Z Club, or what we call the FinMore marketplace, on February 15th. Now, the truth is that in Las Vegas, I was embarrassed by the Z Club. When I walked in the store, I was embarrassed. And in the days that I've logged on since then, I was not overly impressed with what the progress has been in the Z Club since the date of Las Vegas. I am now involved at a fairly significant level with conversation with various vendors and so on, and I'm aware of the group that has been hired to populate the site. And I want to give you what I consider to be realistic, not overly hyped, but realistic anticipations of what we can expect. I believe that we can expect by February 15th to probably have 10 or 20 times as many items in the stores we have right now. I'm comfortable saying that. We're going to have 10 or 20 times as many items in the stores we have today. Now, remember that
not very much. So if he's saying there's about like 30 items, right? 30 times 10, that's 300 times 20, 600. That's still not really a lot of items that are going to be up on there. And I don't know. I just don't think it's going to be that good. Because that to me is still like embarrassing if you're saying that this Z-Bucks can get you so many life-changing things. I don't know. Is it just me?
And Josh, I love your attitude. All right, because we're having 10 or 20 times 10 or 20, right? I'm excited about somebody who'll get excited about having 40 or 50 items instead of fussing because we don't have 20 million, right? I mean, it is going to take us a while to get from here to there. And if we can all join that simple idea of being excited that we're going from 10 or 20 items to going to 50 or 60 or 200 items, then suddenly this will...
He said 10 to 20 times more, and now it's like only double. Does he understand how math works, or did I just mishear him?
Getting a little easier for us. By March 15th, remember I said, I don't believe anybody will be embarrassed by the Z Club called the FinMore marketplace. I don't believe anyone will be embarrassed by it on February 15th. And February 15th is only a tiny handful of days away. It looks like somebody is now sharing a screen, so I have to take that back away. Hold on here. Okay. Use classic whiteboard. There we go. Okay. So it's my belief, and it's a considered and a knowledgeable belief, that we're going to have no people who are embarrassed about the FinMore marketplace on February 15th. I'm not telling you that I think people are going to be excited about it on February 15th. I don't. I think, however, that they're not going to be embarrassed by it. I think by March 15th, there will be people like Josh who have the positive, happy attitude. Some people like Josh are going to say, oh my God, there's 150 items. And that'll be really exciting. Some other people will look at the very same thing and say, oh my God, there's 150 items. The very same words can mean a lot of different things, can't they? So,
yes, it can. But also based on what you're promising people, like 150 items is just like nothing. And again, that's not the correct math for what he just said a few minutes ago. So I don't know. And to be embarrassed by it for this long, I mean, we've been seeing this happen for months, y'all. I cannot comprehend the support that people have for this company. And again, I understand this guy is definitely way high up there, and that's why he's got to come out and say all these things. So, but we're here to listen to what he has to say.
So those who have the attitude and energy of, wow, it's 150, you're going to be excited about March 15th. The ones that are not quite of that same mindset, it's going to take a little while longer. Let me tell you how long I think it's going to take. I think that we need to anticipate about a 12-month build into the Z Club or the FinMore marketplace being something that we can, with confidence, send somebody to that club and not tell them it's still a site in progress. There's only a few items there. I think you need to wrap your arms around the idea that this is going to be about a year-long process as that store.
A year-long process? You guys, why are we still recruiting people for something that won't even be worth it, according to them, for another year? What is the point in joining right now? Even if it is worth it, when that year happens, what's the point in joining now? I just don't see a benefit at all. Like, not even a little.
Continues to get populated. And I'm reading this question. I get into the text. I'm going to skip over the text and answer a couple of questions that have come along here. Hold on. Okay. Will we still have the travel club? Yes, we will still have the travel club. Is the Z Club no more? The Z Club is no more. Well, at the second, it is Z Club, but it is becoming the FinMore marketplace. These are not two different things, right? The FinMore marketplace replaces it. Are there marketing resources available now to help us explain this transition to our TCMs and future participants? Here's the.
They're not two different things. It's replacing it. There's so much double speak happening. I cannot, like, just believe the blatant double speak happening. Like, yeah, I don't know.
Absolute truth. You guys can know in advance that I am not running this company, because if I was running this company, then these things would have been available today. That's not the case. And so I would say that I'm confident that by the time we get to 1 week from today, that the resources that will be in the back office will be sufficient. Between now and then, you're going to need to rely more specifically on leadership content. And so whether it be me or somebody else that you trust and respect and knows going to give you good information, I'd be selecting a leader or a group of leaders and staying very, very tightly associated with them. You will begin to see the collateral items added to your back office. Well, in fact, when the back office opens, you'll see it. But you saw today that the back office, what they say, back office will be open about a week from now. That means that you're going to be operating in the dark for up to, today is Saturday, you're going to be operating in the dark up until next Friday. Okay, the date when they said the back office would go open is Friday. And now this is sometimes people describe me as being a little overly critical. I'm not overly critical. That which is measured can be improved. That which is measured also should not be denied. This company has not yet got a track record of hitting its marks, does it? After we've hit 7 marks in a row, that's when I'm going to say, next time they tell us a mark, I believe we're going to hit it. But until we've hit a few marks in a row, then I'm not going to tell you that I've wrapped my arms around the idea that we're probably going to have everything on Friday that we were just told we'd have on Friday. We might not. I've wrapped my arms around the idea that it's a startup, and if it takes a week longer than they said, that's part of what I wrapped my arms on. Okay, is there still a debit card coming? This was the next big question I was going to ask. Yes, and yes.
So then what happens if it doesn't hit that year mark that he says it's going to? I mean, I'm just saying, again, the company isn't known for exactly making its marks. He just said it himself.
Remember that this entire mechanism, everything, is about leading us to the day when we've got the Tranzact card in our hand, when we swipe the Tranzact card, it is in the swiping of the Tranzact card itself that we earn the basis points. And so this whole thing is not for me about whatever commission we can earn as we assemble the network. The way this model was originally built, and there have been all kinds of bumps in the road, it doesn't change the fact that this is the single best idea I've seen in my career. This is a fantastic idea. And yeah, the administration of the idea has been less than perfect up until now. Well, that's life. This remains the single best idea I've ever seen. People need the money. They've got to go further. People need to have more money. Well, the debit card itself, that debit card is the income generating mechanism that creates the pure dead walkaway money, the absolute walkaway money. The other comp plan components, and what are they? The names and the commissions are all changing. I'm going to use the old names. I apologize. But the manager grant, the money that you get when you enroll a person who becomes a manager, so that's not really what it's about. That is transaction-based income. You only get it. So I enrolled Jaime and Cynthia. Jaime became a manager. And when he became a manager, I got $50. But in all the months since then, Jaime stayed a manager, and I didn't get $50 again and again and again and again. And so anything that we only get paid one time for is not especially good money. And anything we only get paid one time for can go up and go down, up and go down. It can have pretty violent fluctuations. It's hard to plan your family's budget on incomes that go like this. And so, yeah, it's there. And by the way, there'll also be those. Again, my guess is that my guy Josh, don't even know Josh, but my guy Josh, when he saw the $30 manager grant, he might have been one who thought, "Wow, this is actually a raise." You say, "Wait a minute, Randy, why is it a raise? It was 50 and it's 30." Well, because before you enrolled somebody for 495, and when somebody enrolled for 495, enrolled three others at 495, that produced $50. Well, now you're enrolling somebody at 200, and when they enroll somebody, three of them at 200, that produces $30. And so you see the same money in produces $10 more. That was actually a raise. That was not a pullback. It's really, really interesting how people respond to messages. Because I've had so many messages saying, "Oh my gosh, Randy, I just got a pay cut on manager grants." I've not received a single message saying, "You know what? I just got a $10 raise." Because that is what just happened. Same money in produces $10 more out.
Because that's so confusing. That's why. Of course people didn't understand that. I still don't even understand that.
And so with every single thing we look at, stop and query yourself and ask yourself the candid question: are you seeing the opportunity here, or are you seeing a problem? The exact same thing. I've not had one person see the truth. I just got a raise. Every person who's commented on the manager grant said, "Wow, it just got cut from 50 to 30. Not a single person said, "You know what? Same money in produces $10 more out right now." So query yourself. Am I seeing the possibilities? Am I seeing what's good?
Because if before I was making 50 and now I'm making 30, then I don't understand how that's a pay raise. I just don't get it. I just don't. I understand why people are mad, because this just seems confusing and frustrating because it's confusing.
I allowed myself, as a result of life's various experiences, to focus on that might be more challenging. And I come back here, look at this. Is the debit card still coming? Yes. Okay. Now, on the debit card, I've now got some clarity. I understand now. I didn't understand before. I know network marketing. I don't know banking. And by the way, I'm still far from being a sophisticated, knowledgeable person in the banking world, but I know a little bit. And here's what I know. I mean, if you use your American Express card, and then tomorrow you decide that the product or service you negotiated for was not a very good product or service, you can simply log on to American Express and you can click one button, and you know what? That charge will be stopped just like that. Boom, stopped. That same thing doesn't occur with a debit card. It doesn't. There's fraud protection built in, but it's not the same as with a credit card. When it is a debit card, there has to be an actual reserve set up by the institution. Because why? Because if a debit card has a fraudulent charge, or someone is dissatisfied with the purchase and wants the money back, that exact same fraud protection doesn't exist like it does with a credit card.
If you're dissatisfied with a purchase, you usually go back to the merchant before you go and try to do a chargeback thing on your card. And then if they deny it, then you can go through that process. But typically, that's not how that works in my experience.
Financial institution must therefore reserve for it. And so that would explain why. Do we have a bank today? Yes, we have a bank, Banker Savings Bank. It's a very good one. Why don't they want to open 100,000 accounts right now? Because that's not the way that works. There has to be an underwriting. I mean, the way that it would need to work, Josh, is they need to see 3,000 accounts for 30 or 60 or 90 days and see how many returns there are, see what kind of fraud there is, so they know what to reserve. And after they've had that for a little while, then it can be 10,000, then it can be 15,000. We right now have, and by the way, you've also heard me say this, I'm an extraordinarily optimistic person. However, I'm still a very pragmatic person. There are lots of people who joined our company on a message that does not exist today. Some of those people will see here a message that is valuable to them. And I look at it today purely and simply this way: forget everything I knew about Tranzact Card before, knowing what I know today about the Model 2 day as it is today, this hour, forgetting what I first saw. Would I join it today? My answer is yes. But each of you have to make that same decision. Forget what it was, see what it is. And based on what it is, if you find value for you and your family, do it. But realize that now we're crossing the bridge. Now we're crossing over the Rainbow Bridge.
But that's not good to say. That doesn't sound good at all to say. Oh, yep, if you saw it for something completely different, because it was something completely different and that's what you wanted to join, then don't stick around for now the fact that it is a completely different business. I just can't, like, they tried to launch this without getting all their ducks in a row, and it's just, there was like no way for it to even seem legitimate. And it like blows my mind that they're still going to continue to try and make this work.
And the things that we thought and talked about and heard about, they're not there anymore. Make a decision to get involved with this company, or make a decision to not be involved with this company. But don't look over your shoulder at the old company, because the fact is that doesn't exist. Okay? Now, in terms of the debit cards themselves, I don't believe that there are 140,000 because of the reason I just said. If the pot boils, I mean, Carol, looking at my friend Carol Morris now, if the pot boils, Carol has probably never burned anything in her life. But Carol, if you unfortunately overboil the pot, then after the pot overboiled, if you took it off the heat, then the pot wouldn't have as much water in it, would it? And so we had a complete, total, absolute overboiling of this pot back in the October-November period. And we had at the end of that straight up spike, we had 4,000 people enrolling a day coming towards it. Well, when you take that off the heat, I promise you.
Because you had them advertising something that wasn't happening. So yeah, you put yourself in that hole. That's not good. Not you personally, not this guy, but the company did that. And that's, just such a bummer for all the people that like joined. And that's got to be so frustrating too, to really, this is something that you believed in and you thought it was really going to change your life. And then this is happening. Like, I'm sorry that this happened to you, and I hope you see it for what it is now, and you don't stick around for FinMore, and that you just let it lay to rest as Tranzact card and leave it in your past.
There's a whole lot of that Ben Bernanke would have described as irrational exuberance. There are quite a few of those people who join in that rush who probably are not going to still be standing. There are also going to be some who've been waiting for almost a year who are not going to still be standing. And so I don't think that our population is 100,000 accounts. I don't think it's 140,000 accounts. I think our population is a third of that. And so now what is going to occur is this. We'll see a complete total. Promise you, I've lived this too long. I wish I knew anything else like I knew this. I don't. I only know one thing, network marketing. There will be a complete reshuffling of the deck. And some people whose names you haven't heard of today will be living at the top of the comp plan in 6 months. And some people who are now at the relative top of the comp plan we won't see anywhere around in 6 months. And so this represents for each of you who may not be at the very, very top of the heap right now, this is your moment of opportunity. Really and truly, no kidding. This is your moment of opportunity. And there will be a vacuum at the top. There will be confusion. And there is room for you, whoever you are, whatever you want. There is room for you to live at the absolute very, very top of this.
So we opened up some spots in the top of the company. That's what this is going to be. But there's not, what he's saying is there's not room for everybody at the top, which is the exact opposite of what anybody in any MLM says, where they say there's room for everybody at the top. No, there's absolutely not. And this guy's straight up telling you that there is not. And you could possibly be one of the lucky ones now. But no matter what, so if you make it to the top of this company, just know and please understand that whoever you recruit underneath you, there will always be somebody losing money. And heaven forbid it be your best friend, your husband, your uncle, your cousin, whatever, or your coworker. And then you see that relationship just get tarnished. This is more than just an MLM or a business opportunity. This is something that is going to actually affect your relationships with other people. So please understand that if you're going to go in with this and then somebody else finds this video or anybody else is on here and sees it for what it is, it's, especially if you continue to believe in it and they don't, like, it's not going to be good. It's just not. And I don't want that for you. And I hope you don't want that for yourself either. Just for a buck, like, that's terrible.
The way for you to make that happen is for you to be among the very first who get across that rainbow bridge and stop carrying around the baggage of what was and start instead picking up the useful baggage of what is and then crafting and creating business strategies for your organization so that they can monetize the plan. Now, coming down here, so finally, where am I going with this debit card idea? Will we get debit cards? Yes, we will. We have one bank that is now contracted that has been disclosed. That bank is Bangor Savings Bank. We have another bank that has been contracted that is not disclosed. I now completely understand why Peter doesn't want to disclose. I don't think that it's our membership that calls the bank. When we got the Bangor Savings Bank contract, there were like so many calls. I won't say a number because it was probably an exaggerated number that I was given, but a staggering number of calls came into Bangor Savings Bank asking if they had a relationship with Tranzact Card. I don't think that those calls came from our members. Okay, that's where the blame was placed.
No, they didn't. They came from people like us. I never made that call, but I know other content creators did make that call, or just people that are following you guys in the comments that are part of this community, whether you're a creator or just somebody who really likes being a part of this like anti-scam community. It was you guys. I have a feeling that it wasn't really a whole lot of members. And if it was the members, good for them, honestly. I hope some of them were members that were calling because they were curious and they were trying to do their own, research about the company to figure out what's going on. Good for them for getting in there and trying to figure it out and knowing what they were getting involved in. I think that would be great if a lot of those phone calls did come from cardholders or DBOs.
I think those calls came from our members. I think those calls came from our adversaries, people like behind MLM, who wanted very much to disrupt the boat. We talk about being a company that disrupts industries. Well, Cynthia, if your industry is being disrupted by our company, you'd like to stop that from happening. And there are plenty of people who have tried to stop it from happening and who will continue to try to stop it from happening. I not only understand, but I respect and I agree with Peter's decision to not make any more disclosure about banks until we're ready to, in one fell swoop, begin doing integration of everybody at one time. That's going to require that we have several banks. Today, there are only two. There are more that are coming. I'm personally involved in that. By the way, I want to talk about a couple of other things. That questions have not yet been posted. And now let's go back to the questions. A lot was said about the advantages of becoming a franchise, and there are advantages to being a franchise. One advantage is that one of the big advantages is that once that franchise document has been filed, then the compensation plan has to be left alone. One of the more difficult parts of my career has been when network marketing companies have just unilaterally one day changed the plan. There was a day I was making $275,000 a month, and I didn't get a phone call. I got an email saying the company was changing from a stair-step breakaway plan to a unilevel plan, and my monthly check was going from $250,000 down to 115. Well, 115 is great unless you're used to making 250. And so when I was first told that this would be a franchise, and then I would know what the compensation plan that I see today would be the same compensation plan I'm living in.
How can you franchise an MLM? I'm very confused because if you're signing up to be like a DBO or whatever it's called now with FinMore, that's not franchising, but that's what they say it is. It's like, franchising and being your own bank. So, but how are you franchising to be at the top of a whole MLM company? Like, that is not making sense to me when he says franchise. So I personally have no idea what he's talking about or how that would even be possible.
Decade from now, that's very appealing to me. That is very appealing, and I still am drawn to that idea. And so I am not among those who will not continue to advocate for the company to carefully consider every reason to perhaps be a franchise as we continue down this path. The next thing that I was told, that it's absolutely accurate, I've learned, is that there are banks that would be more likely to embrace us as a franchise than as an MLM. That's something that was said in the beginning. That was true. And so there are reasons for us to be a franchise. Why then would we not do it right now? We would not do it right now, this second, because I have Dr. Martin Luther King years ago.
Oh, he's saying that they want to be a franchise and not an MLM. And that they are eventually going to... What? What?
Not just one time, but in many of his speeches, he talked about the fierce urgency of now. I want you to know that I am very aware of the fierce urgency of now that many of you are experiencing in terms of your personal finances. Anything, I mean anything, that slows the flow of income down one day is not something that I would embrace unless I was convinced that by slowing it down one day, that would create some greater good in the future. Right now, if we were to say this is to become a franchise now, that would slow us down. It would slow us down. Even for me, a week is not okay. It would slow us down at least 60 days. That's the truth, because we would have to get the franchise document, the filing document approved by 10 states that do not accept the standard document.
But why are you in such a hurry when you don't even have everything lined up for it to work the way you want it to? Like, it seems like after all this, y'all should probably take your time. Otherwise, it's gonna get messed up again. It already is.
I will tell you, again, I pushed really hard on this because there's been enough things said that were not true that I repeated. I want to know that I'm only saying things that are true. And so it had been stated that the franchise circular had been delivered to a whole bunch of states. And then I heard a couple of days ago that was not accurate. I want you to know that was accurate. The franchise document has been delivered. And that franchise document would allow us to begin functioning as a franchise in most states in the United States. However, it would be one incredible confusion to be a franchise in 40 states and a MLM in the other states, two different offering documents, and so on and so on and so on. If we were to continue down the path of franchise right now, it would slow us down. And there are too many people in my community, at least, who don't have any financial flexibility to be slowed down another 6 weeks, another 10 weeks, another 12 weeks. And I think that would be completely, totally, and absolutely financially prudent. So I will push hard to continue the franchise discussion the very moment that becomes appropriate. My view of when that becomes appropriate is when the debit cards themselves are in widespread circulation.
Yeah, that's what he's saying. So you're either a franchise or an MLM. So then what happens to the people, everybody that signs up now when they're an MLM, and then you turn the whole company into a franchise? So, and because his whole argument is that once you're a franchise, you can't change the pay structure. But wouldn't that be like changing the pay structure and like ripping the carpet out from underneath everybody's feet? Because that would completely change what's happening here. Because an MLM is nothing like a franchise. When you, I just am not seeing why they wouldn't just start that way, because that's way more legitimate. But being an MLM is going to help you grow much faster, because now you're going to have all your DBOs, all your Tranzact card holders, all of that. These are going to be people that are recruiting for you, so you don't have to do any of the advertising yourself. That's why. Let's be real. We talked through that. That was a great talk, you guys. Thank you.
Remember, these other income components are designed only to get us to where the debit card starts being swiped. So we have first the manager grants. We all know how that works. You enroll a new person, they enroll 3. Now they no longer call it a manager grant. They call it a rank advance promotion of $200. Nevertheless, it's 200 in, it's 200 out. That recreates the environment we had with that $495 entry fee and a $495 rebate. It, however, does it in such a way that, and by the way, I will always share with you just the truth. That's not something that I advocated for. I advocated for the higher price. Why did I advocate for the higher price? I advocated for the higher price because, I mean, Cynthia, I don't know, this is the last thing that you ever have to do. If you want to do something else in the future, great. I'd like this to be the last thing you ever have to do. And so it's important to me that the company make money. I want the company to make money. And so I actually, among those who were advocating for the lower price, I was not among them. Even though that added money between what we're charging and what we were charging, that the company kept it all. There's no commissions paid on that. I advocated for the higher price because I don't ever want to start over again. Whole lot of work. And the company and everybody else has assured me that they can float the boat and they can make it work. It's really easy to criticize this company. Really, really easy. I hope you all know there are lots of things you should not criticize it for. We should not criticize the company for the fact that they were paying manager grants 10 levels deep. Since we started, even the comp plan only said 4, right? And that was a gift. That was because they realized the money needed to flow. We should not criticize the company because they have chosen to forestall the franchise idea right now because they know that would slow down the flow of income.
You absolutely should, because it's proving that this company only cares about the bottom line and not the people that are in this and hoping to stay and are hoping to have like a sustainable business. And like earlier mentioning that only a few people will make it to the top because it's an MLM, like it's just admitting that, and I get it, every company has to make money. Sure, yeah, you're starting a business, make your money, girl. But like this is not that type of business, and this is truly just a business looking to take money out of consumers' pockets without seeing anything in return, in my opinion. It's just not worth it, and you're just going to straight up lose money being a part of this company. And I will say that also over and over and over again. So please, please do not join this company, even under the new name of FinMore. Please.
We can look at both sides of all of these coins. There are some things that we can criticize this company for. There are some things that we should be remarkably grateful for. I personally am remarkably grateful for the fact that they chose to make the All Cards program the marquee right now, because as a result of making the All Cards program the marquee, that takes the pressure off of the debit swipe. Right? The two programs that have been introduced, that being the Flourish program and the All Cards program, those two programs in combination completely replace the income generation that would be created by card swiping. Now, the challenge is they don't replace it immediately. Okay, Cynthia, if we were swiping the cards right now, swiping the debit card would fund the community bonus pool, and a person could get paid more money more quickly. Because why? It's just because the pool is letting you get paid for volume you didn't create. And so we can start the income wheel turning, but we can't create that bump in income where you're getting paid an over amount of money for small productivity.
Then why not wait until that can be a part of the company for launching? Because then we're going to go back to what he talked about before, where if there's not enough income coming, like people aren't getting paid, like straight up, because there's not enough income in there. And that's what he said in the last one. So all those recruitment bonuses that you are promised, they're not paying it out, because the only way they can pay it out and be FTC compliant is if there is revenue coming in and they pay it out as a bonus, because right now they're only paying you to recruit. If they actually cashed out that check, making it a complete pyramid scheme, in my opinion, and the opinion of the FTC, which is why they're doing it. He's admitting it. Cognitive dissonance. It's right there. The answer's right there in his head, and he's saying it out loud, and he's not seeing it. And it makes me sad, because you know that there are other people in this company watching this guy's videos, whether it's on this platform or wherever other platform he's doing it. And they're those excited people that he's talking about. And those are the people that are going to lose money, unfortunately. Or at the very least, waste their time. Like, just waste their time.
The pools are what do that. And the pool is funded by what? By the swiping of the card. So by introducing the Evermore program and the Flourish program, those in combination equal more money than is possible in the community bonus pool. The challenging part, which I completely understand, is that while it's more money, it's not more money in the shortest period of time. And if you were to qualify, Josh, you know this, you qualify for the Vice President bonus pool if it was delivered as was originally proposed, then with relatively small productivity, which actually you could create in 30 or 60 days, begin generating a large income. Why? Because you're getting paid for what somebody else did. There's nothing we can do with the current mechanism that allows you to get paid for what somebody else does. That is made possible by the swiping of the cards, and those cards are simply not in widespread distribution right now. So what I'm sharing with you all right now is the exact candid truth about why that particular compensation plan component cannot be funded right now. It will be funded. It will be funded when the cards get into people's hands. Okay, now Leanna just said that she does not understand the comp plan. So that's another issue altogether. If you don't understand the comp plan, then the thing for you to do is to, let's see, gotta get over here to one. Can I find my text string here? If you don't understand the comp plan, then what I would encourage you to do is notify me or notify somebody later that you'd like to have a compensation plan training done. that is the way to do it. I can tell you that as a result.
If you don't understand how you get paid, yo, that's like a big red flag. And I hope you see that, because you get a normal job and they're like, yeah, this is the job, you clock in, you get paid per hour, you leave, whatever. Or if it's a commission job, like you get paid this much and then you get paid this percentage if you sell the things. It's very straightforward. But when you're in MLMs, you don't understand the comp plan, and I feel like they do that on purpose, because then you don't realize that you're losing money. Like, to be completely honest, like that's what it seems like to me, that's why these companies design them the way that they do, because people never understand them, or they have to do a whole separate training on them. And even after that training, being somebody, because I used to be in Mon 8, and I've seen the way the comp plan structures are for other MLMs that I've considered joining way back before I even joined Mon 8. Like, it was something that I was like, how is this? Like, it always seemed scammy to me, and I still ended up in one. But as it can happen to anybody, it's just like, if you really feel like you need to break down how you get paid, then it's probably not something you should do. in my opinion. So I feel like that's just a red flag. A big red flag.
Of these changes, modifications, changes to the changes of the things that we changed. And then those various videos that I recently created, most of those will have to be completely redone. So I'll redo those really soon. And I intentionally, you might notice that when I created that video library a few days ago, you might notice that I did not create a comp plan video. And that was because of this, was because I couldn't. And even now, now the comp plan is what it is. I won't create it for a couple of weeks. I have to live it for a couple of weeks. So I need to live it for a couple of weeks. I need to see the mechanisms playing out. And so basically we'll be handling it on Zooms up until now. Okay, now I'm going to read back a couple of questions. Jenna, manager grants that will be paid out November. Will those be paid out still at 50? Yes, of course. Of course. I mean, the one thing, guys, please do know this. At its very worst, there's nothing about this company that's dishonest. At its absolute very worst, this company's single greatest fault has been over-optimism, overconfidence, a failure to recognize the amount of work required to get across certain hoops. If $50 has been earned, of course you'll be paid those $50. And by the way, if there's anyone who still has commissions.
Some people can call it over-optimism, but me and many others, in my opinion, it is false promises. And I can't see it any other way.
That you have not received. Then all you need to do is log into the back office and request it. If you have not submitted a 1099, it will then notify you that you must. If you have submitted a 1099,
you have to request for them to pay you because they're not keeping track. Is that what he just said? What in the world is happening? It's just like it just keeps getting worse. Just keeps getting worse. Like there's more and more things.
the check will come. Now, also, if your check is anything over $500 and has not been received, then the company will Federal Express that to you at no cost to you. If your check is less than $500 and you need the money right now, which I absolutely understand, then the company will still FedEx it to you. It would be at your cost, and I apologize for that. Also realize that starting on February 5th, that is now only a few.
No. I'm not going to pay you for you to send me the money that you owe me. What? Absolutely not. That's not okay.
Days away. In fact, I'm going to pull back that timeline. In the next handful of days, you'll be able to receive your check ACH, whether it be the first check that you've received in FinMore or whether that be a check that you still have being held at the company. Okay, so there's no reason for anybody to not receive any money. Let's see. Hi, what time did this startup shorts called? Relationship marketing. Yeah. Okay, so the question here, I have one DBO under me and she has two DBOs. And so, yes, when you add just one FBO, she is then a manager. Are we now an MLM? FBO. Yes, we are now an MLM. And the question, I really hope we continue to franchise. Once again, I want to be very clear on this. The decision about becoming a franchise is not made right now as we speak. I want you to know that. I mean, I'm in the conversations and there's debate on both sides of the equation.
Oh, you know what my favorite thing about this is? Because he's like, yeah, we're not being a franchise yet. We're still deciding. Like right now we are an MLM. And I had somebody in the very first video that I did about Tranzact card say Tranzact card is not an MLM. So thank you, guy from not Tranzact card, FinMore, sorry, for proving that it is, in fact, an MLM, which we already knew. But how frustrating is that like the people that are joining this, like truly honest, like honestly do not know that they are joining an MLM. They think they're joining like a franchise opportunity. So the fact that there is just such little clarity and they keep like dangling things and just throwing them off, and there's new information and different information being fed to them. It's like no wonder nobody knows what's going on. And then there's still that possibility of making a bunch of money. So of course some people are going to hang on because that whole like one, sunk cost fallacy. You spent all that time and money, so of course you're going to stick around and hope that it pays off. And then two, just that hope that you were a part of something from the beginning, so you will make it to the top. And it's just sad.
I would prefer that it become a franchise, and I will argue that it become a franchise. I'm one voice. Your voices also matter. If you want to be a franchise, let the company know. If you want to be a franchise, let your upline know. If you want to be a franchise, I will tell you that that opinion is not an opinion that probably makes a whole lot of difference this second, because we need 6 months. We need to get the cards in people's hands. We need to get the model working. It would be a tremendous mistake for us to try to add that to our mix right now. Anything that slows down the flow of money into people's hands right now is the last thing that we should do. Okay, I'll come down here to the next question. Okay, so one of the biggest attractions for business builders was the community bonus pool, the lowest rank advancement. What happens now to replace that, Mark? I hope I answered that a couple of minutes ago. There's exactly nothing that we can do to replace that today. The income components that come from the Flourish program and that come from the Flourish program and the All Cards program, those two income components do replace it in order of magnitude, They more than replace it, but what they don't do is replace it in terms of timeline. There's literally nothing that we can do to begin funding that bonus pool until the cards get into people's hands. Okay? And so now we go down further, and the question again was raised, and when will the cards come? Folks, I would like you all to stop and ask yourself this question.
No, I want you to ask yourself this question. Why would you continue to kick off and relaunch and do whatever if you can't fulfill what's promised? Like, for you to say what's coming is better than what we promised you, but you're still promising this exact thing and it's not happening. And based on what you're about to say, you're not going to give a straight answer to the question, when are the cards coming? And without straight answers, like, that's just not okay. It's just not.
Would you rather, now imagine for a moment that you cross the bridge, you're going to build this business, and now you've got a group. Would you rather that your group is discussing what we have today, or would you rather that your group is talking about what we don't have and we don't know exactly when we will have? I have a firm timeline in my mind of when I believe the card is going to be delivered. I think it would be a mistake for me to tell you that timeline. I don't think anything is to be gained by that. I think that if we are involved in this company right now, FinMore, we should be involved in this company based upon the offering as it exists today. If you don't want to be involved in the company with the offering as it exists today, then I will tell you my guidance is to stand down, stand by, and watch, because you'll be nothing.
Listen to the man. Stand down. And I don't. Yeah, he's right. Wow. For the first time ever, I like what he said. I appreciate what he said. That was great and honest. And thank you, sir.
But daily frustrated about what we don't have. My own decision to be involved with FinMore is because of the offering that we heard about today, and because of my 2 weeks of other information gathering about that offering. I am not involved in this company because of something I think they're going to have in the future. That is a recipe for frustration. So study the offering that is available.
But you are, though. That's what you're saying right now in this entire video. That's what this is about. You're like content with what they have, but like you're trying to say that it's what was promised to you before didn't happen, and now what's promised to you now is better, and I don't know.
Today, decide for yourself if this offering is something that will help you and your family today. If so, let me help you gain success in the offering as it exists today. If you don't like the offering as it exists today, then I will tell you I believe that there will be steady, constant, consistent improvements, and engage when you feel it becomes right. Now the question here. So for commission, up to 500, 1,500, 12 fives.
But earlier he was all like, but if you stick with us now, there's going to be room for you at the top. So which is it, Randy? His name is Randy, by the way. Which is it, Randy?
So long. Yeah, I mean, that's the same. Nothing is changing. That's not changed. What's changed is the time of the delivery of that bonus pool. For people who came in but don't understand that one, but what about new people? Will they get fair commission or different comp plan? Any person who enrolls today, well, they can't enroll today, as we know. And so again, I just want to say, will anyone get fair commission? If I did not believe that the future Tranzact, FinMore compensation plan was fair commission, I would tell you that right now. I would say, guys, let's go find something else to do. I would. I mean, I want you all to know and understand this. My emotional commitment is to people who have said yes to me. My emotional commitment is not to this company. And it's not just people who said yes to me. If you're on here right now, you're turning to me for leadership and guidance. My emotional commitment is to you. My emotional commitment is not to this company. And if I didn't believe this company was doing that, which was required to make this a win for you, I would tell you that. Now, some of you don't know me well enough to know that's the truth. Jaime, you do, don't you? You know, absolutely. If I didn't believe that we could make a big win out of this and that we could honor every promise we've made to people, then I would have already told you, Jaime, thank you for trusting me. You know what? This was a swing and a miss. It's not the truth. That is simply not the truth. I will tell you the truth that a couple of days ago, about 2 weeks ago, when I went to that leadership council meeting in Salt Lake, I felt like I was standing in the batter's box with 2 strikes. I did. I felt that way, and I saw that pitcher staring me down. But the fact is that I feel like the company has delivered something that we can win with. It's not going to be easy, but I believe that we can win. Do we have to start all over to become commission qualified? No, you do not. We'll be able to enroll new members when the office is dark next week. No, I'm sorry, you cannot. However, what I will be doing is gathering all of the needed data. And I also promise you this, I will continue to work to make the user experience a more friendly experience in our company. I don't know if it's because we're a bank. I don't know why. The fact is that the user experience in this company has not been something that I've been very happy with. Trying to get any sort of response from customer service, of course, has been a frustration for most of you. Then finally getting a response and having it maybe not be as polite and cordial or fun or acting like they care about what we're experiencing. The user experience itself has a lot to do with that.
Thanks for letting me know that if I do join the company, it's going to just be terrible if there are any issues. Like, it'll be terrible to work those issues out because their customer service is just awful. That's good to know, before you join a company. Thanks for that information.
Satisfaction when people aren't yet making any money. and our user experience has been something far less than what I would consider to be appropriate. Going straight down to the questions. Do we still have 26 influencers, and when will they be announced? Angie, this is the God's honest truth. I don't have a clue. I literally have no idea. I can say that the influencer program exists and that I'm involved with two that I believe I'm going to get involved with the company, because those are the only ones that I'm personally involved with. Those are the only ones where I'm engaged in the conversations. I've been bitten hard enough with the chatter of things being said that wound up not being 100%. I only say things that I know are true. And I would say that I'm currently involved with two of them that are big, big, big names that I think are going to get across the line. The fact that I think it doesn't mean that they will. But I would say that based on my experience, the project is one that is not hard to sell. And so when we have a final offering right now, the two that are waiting on me is to bring them the final offering. It was only delivered to you, to us today. And so this coming week, I'll bring that final offering to people and let them know the exact timelines and hows and whens. But here's the reality. Remember, those influencers, how are they getting paid? They are getting paid on swipe fees. The All Cards program does not create swipe fees. Therefore, you can know that you're going to see no influencer cards before we have cards, right? And so I would probably take those influencers out of the dialogue as well, because I'm telling you that I am not going to count on having those cards in circulation in less than 6 months. I do believe they're coming. In fact, I know they're coming, but I'm not going to talk about it in a timeline shorter than 6 months. I don't want that to be the ongoing, never-ending questions. I believe that just these two influencers.
He's just saying less than 6 months. So that swipe fee generated money, which is how they're supposed to pay everybody out, isn't going to happen based on what he's saying for like at least another 6 months. Like, what? What? Like, red flag again. Just keep them coming. Keep them coming, Randy. Keep them coming.
I'm talking to are both going to be on board. I believe that, but I also am not anticipating that those card swipes are going to start mattering for us for several months. Okay? Next question: will swipes pay the same as before, as in basis points based on rank? Yes, Dak. But once again, swipes are paid on what? Swipes are paid on Tranzact cards. Swipes are not paid on all cards. So the answer is yes when the card is back in our hands. But do we need to complete? Do we need to complete know your customer on the TZ app? You have to wait. Do not do it on the TZ app. I mean, you can actually if your number has come up and it's green on your screen, log in and do it. If your number has not yet come up, then there's nothing you do. But if you complete it on the Tranzact card app, you will not need to complete it again on the All Cards side, or on the FinMore side. However, when we get the banks, so when you get your Tranzact card, that will require an additional KYC. You will do it again. So one KYC was required for all cards. Those KYCs are going on now. Right, a week or so ago, people got all excited. Oh my gosh, we're doing KYC. And because it wasn't properly explained why, it wasn't described. Then it wasn't saying something that wasn't true, but it was leading people to a conclusion that wasn't accurate. People saw the KYC, and that led to the conclusion that I'm about to get a debit card, right? That was another example of the communication not being dishonest, but not being clear. And it could lead one to arrive very easily. And what was the
not being clear is not good. That's not a good thing. Just because it wasn't not honest, it just wasn't clear. That's still not that's not good either.
Conclusion. And so I begged the company to please make the communication such that they cannot be misunderstood. It would have been harder to understand it correctly than to misunderstand it the way it was described. That wasn't intentional deception. It was poor writing. The good news is that poor writing can be easily overcome. If I purchase the 50% Fleur subscription, does that count and make me commission qualified? Yes, it does. It seems TCMs can't enter the Tranzact card page, but DBOs can. You know what? I am only a DBO, and I've not tried to log in on a TCM page, so I can't.
I really need to see this comp plan because it just talked about like whatever makes you commission qualified. So in that whole thing, how there's no like minimum, how every person says there's no minimum, this, that, or the other thing, sales, swipes, whatever. There obviously is for you to get paid. Like that's very clear based on what he just said. And that's how every MLM works. So if they try to tell you if you're a DBO, there's no minimum requirements. Well, there probably is. Well, there definitely is for you to get paid out. So I mean, right now people aren't even getting paid. That's a whole other problem. But yeah, just keep that in mind that they will tell you there are no minimums. So whatever these minimums are, they do exist no matter what they tell you.
To answer that question, are we still getting influencers? I think I've answered that. I am working very hard at that. That, by the way, is an opportunity that's available to all of us. I don't have any special imprimatur or nothing different. If you know somebody who has influence, that's a person who should be introduced to this program. And by the way, this is the probably just about the truth. I kind of wish that I was hearing about Tranzact card 2 weeks from now. I kind of do, because I wouldn't have to come back behind and clean up all this mess. And the person who sees the offering as it currently is, if I could somehow snap my fingers and cause every person to drop the baggage, so wait a minute, I can make $3. I can make $3 through 10 generations per enrollment on that Flourish program. It's $3 through 10 generations. That adds up to a whole lot more money than anything that we don't get right now. That's a really cool thing. My emphasis has been this: when I was at the very edge of my ability to
10 generations, that is so much recruiting for $3 or whatever he just said. Like, what on earth? Gosh, I feel like my reactions are just like the same thing over and over again because of what he's saying. It's just like, so what the hell?
I mean, understanding, we call ourselves a social impact company. There are people in my life who have been hurt because they joined me in this company, who haven't been helped. They've been hurt because they joined me in this company. And I want you to know that that is literally rips my guts out. And so my entire.
So he admits it. People have been hurt by joining this company. They've lost money by joining by this company. I'm assuming that's what he means by hurt. And it's like, and I could be wrong, but either way, however it is that they've been hurt by joining this company, like that sucks. And then for this guy to come on here and still be a part of it and be like, don't worry, good is coming soon. I just can't fathom being that type of person and being like, I saw how bad it was, but don't worry, it's going to get better. Don't worry, it's going to get better. That's just not okay to me.
Effort has been to create a mechanism where those people who believed in me because they needed money now wasn't because they wanted to make a fortune, it's because they need to pay their bills. That's where my primary interest is right now. I'll get back, Jaime, I promise you, I'll get back to being concerned with those who want to make a fortune. That's just not what it's about for me right now. Right now, it's about getting people's light bill paid. It's about getting rent paid. It's about getting the car payment paid. It's about paying for childcare. And
then why would you ask them to spend $500 to be a DBO, or again, whatever it's called now? Like, oh, you can't pay the bills right now, but come up with $500 to start this business that clearly has no clear end game in how people make money. That, like, no wonder people are upset and hurt by this.
We can do that right now with the back end of this compensation plan. We can do it with the $3 10 generations deep. We can do it with the $30 manager grants. We can absolutely meet those needs right now. And the thing that I would encourage you all to do is to remember, and by the way, my last harsh commentary with the company was, you heard him say today, we're going to pay all February commissions on March 15th. I promise you, I may not be able to change that. I will fight that every single day. Every single day, I will fight that. Because if you're in a commission in the first week of February, I want you to get paid the first week of February. I don't want you to have to wait until March 15th. And the fact that I'll fight it doesn't mean that I'll win the fight. But I guarantee you I'll fight it. Because I know there are people, I know there are people that need it. If it's $50 or $100 or $75, I know they need it. And so my effort will be to get those payments accelerated. Now, I can tell you, what are they doing about gift cards? Once again, the company owns the fact that they selected a horrible vendor, and that horrible vendor did not have the proper. And see, the fault here is not with the vendor. The company selected the vendor. The fault was with the decision maker who selected the vendor. The vendor didn't have the proper fraud protection built into the system. We had a big hit. This is a little company, and they may not be happy with me saying this, more than $100,000 in fraud. And that, for a company our size, that's a great big deal. That's a really big deal. And so will the easy cards come easy?
I appreciate that he is blaming the company and not like the company that they hired, but again, what did you just say? That's like just not okay.
Cards come back. Yes, they will. That also is not a front burner issue right now. The front burner issue right now is to get the new back office introduced and to get those two primary commission components paying. That is the issue right now. And so there's not a lot of time and attention being spent on anything that doesn't get the income wheel turning right now. And so your question, why did the Easy Card go away? The Easy Card went away because of a bunch of fraud. The Easy Card will come back. It will. I can't tell you the date. I don't think it's a long time away. It's not like, I'm telling you, I don't expect there to be any further legitimate dialogue about franchising for 6 months. I'm not going to be talking to people about timelines on the cards that are inside 6 months. The Easy Power card should not take anything close to that. That one should be relatively simple. As soon as we get past this immediate moment, just this instant moment of being able to pay commissions on the manager grants and paying commissions on whatever.
Fraud happened. We still can't pay commissions. What else could he possibly say that would make you definitely want to join this company? Tell me more, Randy.
The commission was described on the back end on the Flourish programs. 100% everything is about that. Okay, is there a new app for FinMore? Yes, there will be a new FinMore app. What will be the benefits of being a franchise versus the MLM? Once again, I described this a little bit before, but the advantage, and by the way, there are disadvantages too. So I could live on either side of the argument, right? The advantages are that there are lots of people, lots of them. I've been among the most successful people, most fortunate people in the network marketing industry for a long, long, long time. And so the industry is not something that I'm afraid of or that I think is bad. Lots of people have decided I'm not going to be involved in MLM. I am not doing a network marketing company, period. I've never had somebody say, Randy, let's not go to a Subway shop. That's one of those franchise deals. And so I personally think that there is value to being a franchise. I think you'll get a lot more eyes on it. I think that it is true that you'll get a little bit easier access to more banks, consistency of compensation plan, more eyes, and improved legitimacy. All those things are true. You know what else is true? What else is true is that the day this becomes a franchise, then, Carol, if you would enroll somebody today, you'd have no chance to enroll them as an FBO because there's a 2-week wait period. And so the only thing you can do is enroll them as a TCM, and then they'd have to wait for 2 weeks. And then 2 weeks later, say if they still want to go forward. That 2-week cooling off period completely takes away any urgency that one can build and develop. It takes away the possibility of bringing people.
It takes away the impulsiveness that people are having. So, because that is a marketing tactic for people in MLMs to get them to like that FOMO that you got to do it now, you're going to miss out. So, it being a franchise and there being that 2 week waiting period, that 2 week cool down period is going to turn people off, and then you're not going to be able to get them to do it. And that's a great thing to me, because you're now people aren't going to do something that they might regret. And it's just funny that he said that, because it proves that that's one of the things that people use in network marketing to get you to join immediately, because they don't want you to think when they're recruiting you into their company. They want you to do it now so they can make that commission. And that's awful and scary, and that's how a lot of people end up with inside of MLMs, and then it just, spirals from there.
The presentation that night, having them get enthused. I mean, I've had plenty of people join me today and get, I have their 3 people enrolled to be a manager tomorrow. Well, if we're a franchise, that stretches that timeline out 2 weeks. So the absolute truth is that I can make a compelling argument for either side of the equation, and I can come down happily on either side. I can. The reason that I'm more, and the reason I will push for franchise right now is because that's what I told people it would be. It's not because I like it more than MLM. I can make an argument for either side of that. It's because people joined me because I told them that's what it would be. I want the things that I said to be true. And so as many of the things that I said at the beginning that I can help the company make true, that's what I will do. Even if I wasn't in love with the idea of a franchise when I was selling it as such, but because I brought people into the business based on that, that's what I want to make true.
So you were selling something to somebody that you weren't even sure was going to be true. It's like you're admitting that right now, that you weren't sure if it was going to be a franchise, but you told people that it might be, so you got them to join. And like, why? Why, Randy? Why?
That makes sense to you. There are several of these things that companies going through where I could come down on either side of the equation. The side of the equation I come down on is the side of, if we said that, we need to make that the truth. And the only way that should be different is if something we said was simply invalid, and the new knowledge, new understanding makes it clear that that's not the best direction for us to go. If we said it, my belief is we make it true, if it can be made true. And so that will be my greatest attempt. Okay, when cards come, will it be Tranzact card or FinMore card? FinMore card. Are the card names and logos, websites all going to be updated? Yes. How do we promote the company now? For me, no difference. How do we promote the company now? What did I bargain for when I first said yes? For the idea that if a person were to join our company, they could extend.
You know what you can't do? Use all your Tranzact branded gear that you got on those flash sales in the Z Club, with all your Z-Bucks that you spent on your hats, hoodies, water bottles, whatever else with the Tranzact card name. Can't do anything with those now. That's just nothing but a memory of the scam that these people were once involved in and now has a new name. So I think that's kind of interesting and sad and funny and everything at the same time,
Buying power. And so tell me this, Josh the Viking, is it not true that if a person registers the cards in their wallet, that when they swipe it, they get Z-Bucks? So that's what they bargained for, right? What they bargained for. And so that side of it is no change. The only change in my marketing already changed, because when it became evident to me, if we go back to November, it was obvious in November we didn't have the cards in people's hands, and so that meant the community bonus school couldn't be there. And so the only thing really that has changed in my marketing message is that I'm not talking about the community bonus school, except I'm talking about a future introduction coincident with when we have widespread distribution of our own debit cards as opposed to the all cards program. The other parts of the comp line. Let's remember that I got involved in the company on June 15th.
Still promising something that the company has shown just many times could not fulfill the promise of. Just saying.
You got involved whenever you got involved. Since that time, how have I received income? Well, I received a return of capital with a rebate. And so now we just got told that as soon as they turn the system back on, you enroll them as an FBO, and they get not a rebate, but they get their money back. It's called a bonus, right? So that's the same. So I wouldn't have to change my marketing message for that. That's the same. The next part of my marketing message was what? It was that every time they enrolled a person who enrolled 3, that they would then get the rebate. Well, they get it, and that we would get a commission. Well, we get it. And so my marketing message doesn't have to change there. Where my marketing message does need to change is that up until now, you've not been able to get paid a single nickel on an ongoing basis for those people who are back there in your group. And so now my marketing message improves, because now today I get to talk about a piece of income that you are eligible for, which you were not eligible for yesterday. And so I have one piece of income that I was talking about, the community bonus pool. I won't talk about that except as a future advent. I have one part that I've been talking about as a future advent, but I've not been talking about as a current reality because it was not. I simply replaced those two. That's it. And so my message is remarkably the same message. All I'm doing is replacing the order in which those two income components are described. And it is really important. And by the way, I'm looking now at this one thing that says, I trust you, Randy. God, folks, I want you to know that for me, that is the single most important thing in my world, is that 6 months from now, a person trusts me more, not less, because of the way that we conduct ourselves. Right? That's it. That's sacred to me. Okay. The Flourish program was of no interest to me, but I have to have a subscription to make commissions. So, okay. You don't need to be a part of the Flourish program. Not at all. Understand this, like in any other business, is it not true that we get paid for what we sell? Every business, right? A Ford dealer gets paid if they sell Fords. A Chevrolet dealer gets paid if they sell Chevrolets. And so, kid, but does a Ford salesman have to drive a Ford to get paid commissions if they sell a Ford? No, it doesn't matter to me if you're a member of the Flourish program. Not at all. However, if you want to earn commissions on the Flourish program, then it'll be important that people in your group embrace it. So it does not matter. None of you have to. You don't have to join the Flourish program. None of you do. None of you have to register a card with all card. You don't have to do a darn thing. What the company has done is make income opportunities available to you to try to replace them, not to try to, but to in fact replace.
You don't have to do anything, but if you are a product of the product, you will make more money and it will be looked at more positively and exciting if you are also taking part in what you are trying to sell. And it's definitely a selling point. You can't sell something that you're not using. I mean, you can, like he said. I can go work at a Ford dealership and I drive a Chevy and I could still sell a Ford and make the commission on it, but I'd rather sell the Chevy because that's what I drive and that's what I like. I don't know. That's kind of like off on a tangent, but that's just going off of what he said and how it kind of like, it makes sense, but it also like doesn't, because, there's that lie there where you are in this community and you know that you have to be a product of the product and you can't explain how good it is unless you are using it yourself. And that you definitely have a higher pull when it comes to stuff like that.
The fact that some of the things we bargained for are not yet available. So we don't have to do a darn thing. What the company has tried hard to do, and what I fully embrace and encourage them for doing, is creating income mechanisms to allow us to pay our bills until such time as the opportunity to go to the top with big income on card swiping comes again. Okay, come on down here. Why did they need to split into two different companies? Once again, it is not being split into two different companies. It's the formulation of one brand new company. Why? Because our old company had too many great big rocks in the runway. I don't believe that there is a single Tranzact card member who's not had somebody log on and say, wait a minute, when I log on, what I get is page after page after page after page after page after page after page of crap and grief about all these bad things that somebody apparently did sometime once. Isn't that true? There is not one of us who's in this business that
they do know that now we're just going to add like hashtag FinMore banking on like all of our videos and things. And so that way they're searchable with Tranzact card and that they're not going to lose any of that bad press just because they changed the name, right? And then he's like, we're not changing the name, we're forming a brand new company. And then, but it's the same. So it just doesn't make sense.
Not had to deal with that. And so right now, it's a fascination to me, really, and I'm not being critical now of anybody, certainly not of this message, but I've had people actually being negative about that. Folks, this is, again, the company, all they're trying to do is help us. They're trying to get the boulders off the runway. You can't get the plane off the runway because there's too many rocks there. Your contact is telling you, oh, no, I just Googled Transact card. I can't do that. The company just lifted the boulders off the runway for you. This should be a thank God moment, not a why are they doing this to me moment. Right? How soon can we get an 8-minute story video to present the value proposal? How about Monday? I'll be happy to break that up for you Monday. I can't wait to get this.
So, update coming for you Monday.
The next day. So, folks, again, having been at this, and when I say this, I'm not talking about network marketing, having been at the business of assembling leadership groups for years. That's what I've done. I've assembled leadership groups for years. And what I've tried very, very, very hard to do is create equity within the organization. I want you all to know that that's where the money lives. The money lives in creating equity within your organization such that people will fight their way past whatever problems the company might endure because they have that magic word a few moments ago, trust in you. Single most important thing all of us can do is treat every single one of our members with, treat all of them with respect, treat all of them with kindness, with compassion, with understanding, listen to every single complaint, fear, and concern, and answer it patiently. And remember that these people are acting by and large out of fear. Anger is fear with the heat turned up. That's what it is. People are acting out of fear, and we need to have an unbelievable overabundance of kindness, patience, love, and tolerance as people learn to embrace new thoughts and ideas to get them past this moment. How does the match program work? Why are new folks not being given that? This again, Mark, the match program. If we go to the Tranzact card document, you'll find there that if you, at various levels of a Transplant compensation plan document, or if you go to your back office, you'll actually find there a founders or a affiliate, whatever it's called, match program. When people enrolled during the pre-launch period, which all of you did. If you're on this session right now, you are a founder. And because you're a founder, that means that when the company does begin introducing Tranzact cards that are created as a result of influencers, that every time you get a customer, and now that customer is called an FM, whenever you get a customer, you will be given a number of customers from one all the way up to as many as a match of 100 customers based upon whether you are a founder, which you are. And by the way, once again, the day will come. And this will be kind of a sad thing because a lot of people who would have benefited from this will disappear in the next 60 days. Like a lot of people who would have benefited from this. The company made every single one of you. You are all a founder. As we speak right now, you're all a founder. The day will come when your primary income, if you stay engaged in the business, comes principally from card swipe revenue. That is the day that you will look back and say, wow, the company did for me a great favor when they made me a founder, whether or not I am qualified for that position. And by the way, those of you who worked, I've also had some people today complaining, oh my God, I did this or I did that so I could be a founder. And now they've given it to somebody else. Folks. Man, that is such a scarcity attitude. Let us have an attitude of abundance. If somebody else gets, does that mean I have less? It does not. I mean, it's like some of these ideas, they bounce off of my brain. So if the company was kind enough to cause others to be founders who maybe didn't, quote, earn it, Maybe some of those are in your group. What if you enrolled one person and today they became a founder who didn't qualify for it? Think of what the company gave you and what the extension of that gift is, because it follows through your organization. If we can change the filter on our glasses just a little bit to instead of, and I understand there are a lot of challenges, but when the filter.
What he means to say is if you take the rose colored glasses off, you can see the reality of this and that you should get out. Okay.
Our glasses is to look at what's wrong instead of looking at what's right and looking at what the company's doing for me. It doesn't change the fact that there are things that are wrong, but it does change the way that we react to them, or at least it changes the way that I react to them. Is the Go program going away? No, the Go program is not going away. This read yet another example of not something that makes us money right now. And anything that doesn't let you pay your bills right now is not something that the company needs to be investing its time on. You're going to be hearing more about the Go program in a matter of weeks, not months. That is an ongoing part of our offering. It is not something that makes you money this month. Therefore, it's not what we're going to be talking about this month. Did I hear you say you'd have FinMore debit cards for 6 months? Well, what you heard me say is that you're not going to hear me saying anything about having debit cards before 6 months, because if I say they might come before 6 months, then I can count on getting a message right after they say, Randy, when am I getting the card? What I'm telling everybody is that if you ask me about cards in any time less than 6 months, I'm going to say check back with me in 6 months, because I don't want that to be a part of the dialogue. Okay. Now, when you said, how do I explain this to my TCM FMs? You've got this recorded link. I just explained it. Just send it over to them. Don't do heavy lifting. Understand this. If you can allow, so in this particular case, right, wrong, indifferent, deserved or undeserved, I am perceived and viewed as a voice of knowledge and authority in this situation. So let me answer the question for you. The question that is answered by me. Invite your person onto my Zoom on Monday night. Invite them on the Zoom on Monday night. Put the question in the text stream and let me answer it for you. And to the extent that you remove yourself from the answer, then it lets you be a buffer of that answer. And it makes it easier for your new member to accept why. They'll accept the message from me, even though they don't know me and they know you. They'll accept the message from me differently than they will from you, because that's the way third-party validation works. And because maybe, just maybe, I don't know, but maybe I have a little more knowledge in this area than I do. Will there be a community bonus for FBOs that signed up after 2/12/24? Yes. Once again, repeated this several times. The community bonus will continue. It will not go away. It will not be something that can be funded until cards are in widespread distribution. When will they be? Check back with me in 6 months. Okay. I think that you'll never have to ask me the question, because I believe that will have happened before I answer it. Okay. When are we getting the new debit card? No reason to respond to that at this point in time. Do you think they'll exceed the 200% back in the marketplace since we don't have cards and are not close to getting them? I apologize. I don't understand that question. So whoever sent that one, that was Ashton. I don't understand your question. If you want to type it back in there, I'll try. What happens if our TCM do not like this change? This is Chelsea. Don't impose that on anybody. This is a kind of a non-event. There should be exactly no TCM who does not like this change. Why? Because they are still a TCM. They're going to get the debit card. That's going to happen. But then she says, we'll be able to get the $25 back. Of course. And I says, or am I going to have to remind that? Of course not, Chelsea. If anybody wants a refund, anybody, they can get it. Anybody. Again, there is nothing.
But didn't he say that the customer service sucks and it's going to be hard to make that happen? I don't know. I do know some people commented on here that were former DBOs and stuff like that, and they have gotten their money back. I would imagine getting $25 back is going to be a bit easier than getting the $500 back. But based on what he said about the customer service, I can't imagine that not being a pain in the arse,
There's not a single thing about this company that is a lack of integrity. That's simply not the case. And there has not been a bait and switch. We told you this, and now you get that. If you don't like it, too bad for you. That is not the truth. This is a company that is owned, populated, operated, and run by good people of goodwill and intent. Not every decision they've made up until now has been a right one. Not every single thing they have said has been proven over time to be true. I will limit that really to just a person. And it's a person, as I've told you, I'm not throwing him under the bus. I happen to like Richard. Richard has a propensity to say things that he hopes to be true, that he wants are true, that he believes one day will be true, but which are not true. And so I stopped receiving information from that particular source. If you just stop receiving information, I can still be his friend, by the way. I can still be his friend. Far be it from me to claim perfection. Okay, next thing down here. Please tell us that corporate is going to communicate all these changes to the program of existing TCMs. Yes, I do believe, Victoria, that you will begin to see a steady flow of information from the company. The company is getting better in many, many, many respects. The communications department is improving, and you will see, I think, one of mlms strengths that is not yet evidenced in our organization is communication, and you will shortly see a substantially improved. I think it's already better, but you'll see a lot more. So I'm confident on that one. How do we promote it going forward? Do we still explain the community pool? Okay, manager grants and bonuses. Yes, manager grants and bonuses. Those are all there. Everything is there. And again, on the community pool, I will explain the community pool. It is still a part of the compensation plan. I will explain how, just like up until now, I've been explaining parts of the compensation plan that people haven't been getting paid. Every presentation I've made from June 15th up until now, I've talked about that ability to get paid money month after month after month on the back end of the plan. No one's been receiving that income yet, but I've been teaching it. I will simply reverse the order. I've been teaching up until the Las Vegas event. I taught the compensation plan, with the very first thing that I was teaching being what? How one gets enrolled, how one gets the return of capital. That was a rebate when the rebate existed. The next thing I've been teaching is the community bonus pool. Okay, so now I bring back the rebate, but instead of calling it a rebate, call it what? Call it a rank advancement bonus. I think is what they called it. And then the second component that I will teach is the manager grants. Those are available right now. The third thing that I will teach is that back end component. We used to call it the DBO grants, whatever they're called now. And the fourth thing that I will teach is the community bonus pool. The last thing, the card swipes, right? The card swipe is funded by the community bonus pool. So all the comp plan components remain. They're not gone. I will simply teach them in a different order. Hopefully that's some benefit. Why isn't it called Evermore anymore? Not called Evermore just because all cards is unique to our company. I don't know. I just give you a good dead solid. I don't know. Nobody asked me if I liked the name Evermore and if I thought the name Evermore should change. I don't know. That doesn't make any difference to me and how much money I'm going to make next week.
He just said, I don't know. I don't know. It's just not. I love that answer. I don't know why. This is the honesty. It's great. Just, I don't know. Me either. Me either, Randy. I don't know.
So they call it what they want. Will there be any incentive for FinMore to replace marketing materials? Actually, yes. This was brought up. I mean, I know that there are some people who bought all the swag, right? Since it was the only thing that we could get in the Z Club, and so yes, I will allow Malin and or the
because it was the only thing you could get in the Z Club. You could only get branded stuff. Like, wow. And yeah, so what's he gonna say now? Like, will it be replaced, or is just like now you spent all your Z bucks for absolutely no reason?
site to deliver that. But yes, once again, these are good people. We're aware of the fact if you spent $300 or $400 buying swag last week, that's not a value this week. This is not a company that says, "Well, bummer, burn on you." That's not the truth. I mean, generally speaking, if you'll just wrap your arms around the idea that this company will do the right thing, I think you'll find out that by and large that'll be proven to be true. By and large, it's probably the right thing. But for existing and enrolling members not wanting the alt card, what is the best response when they can get them? Okay, so once again, Pamela, I hope that I've answered that question already. They do not need to get the alt card. They don't need to. And if they don't need to, then they can register as an FCM and they can simply bide their time. They will not receive, once the alt card program is introduced, they will not be receiving these freebies week after week after week, the 500 free Z-Bucks. By the way, that needs to go away. What is the definition of inflation? The definition of inflation is too many dollars chasing too few goods. When the Z-Bucks essentially have no value because they're being handed out like lollipops, that doesn't create the ultimate outcome that we want. When a person begins earning them because they're using the cards, that will make our offering a better offering, a more legitimate.
So they've just been bribing people to like hold on and stay in and hope it'll change. That's why they've been handing it. But yeah, he's right. When there's too much there and then there's not enough like to buy, and it makes it worthless. And especially too, I mean, it was worthless anyways. No matter how many Z-Bucks they gave out, it was already worthless because all you could buy was hoodies and shirts and swag with the Tranzact card, with the Tranzact card logo on it. And they were already kind of silly in my opinion, but now even more useless than they were before.
Offering. And so I'm happy for that. Probably a long, boring answer to a very short question. It will not be very long, like it'll be a very short period of time before people begin earning those Z-Bucks utilizing the alt card program. The one who wants to wait can just wait, no problem. Randy would be so grateful to share a short video regarding the current state of FinMore opportunity. I'll be happy to do that. Hank, come down. You know what? I vote they just allow Randy to deliver messages going forward. Guys, I have asked. The absolute truth is that I listen to their messages and I get confused. We all have our own strength. I wish they would let me use mine here. But will founders still get paid according to the Tranzact comp plan? You'll receive the founders bonus. This is for Becky Selner. Becky, you'll receive the founders. And by the way, there will also be an introduction of an actual founders bonus. Those of you who got involved as founders will actually you'll hear it pretty soon. It won't be big, but there will be an ongoing monthly benefit. Just the fact that you did that. I maybe should not have said that. I should let the company.
At least Stu was like, it won't be a big bonus, but there will be a bonus. Like, is it going to be worth it? That's why they handed it to everybody. The same way they were like handing out Z-Bucks like they were candy. He just decided, oh, anybody that's left is a DBO. Like, you're a founder now, so you will get part of this bonus. But since there are so many of them now that didn't necessarily earn it, that were just handed because they were still left during this change, like, that's why that bonus is so small. It's not, it probably would have been a larger chunk of money if it was truly just the people that earned it based on whatever the qualifications are to be a founder.
Announce that. But yeah, that's coming. Are all founders now qualified if they don't qualified if they don't have 3 TCMs? Don't understand that question. How do we invite our TCMs on Monday night? Anyone that you have, literally anybody that you would like to hear my understanding of the current situation. And I'm describing it to you right now. Again, and by the way, if I find out that anything I've told you is not accurate, if I find out that something needs to be, I don't think it is. I'm pretty up to date here. But if there's some small error, if I misspoke something, then I'll clear that up on Monday. But it's the same Zoom link, and this will be Monday night at 7 o'clock Mountain Time, 6 on the West Coast, 9 on the East Coast. Literally anybody that you want to have in the session, have me on the session. And just like tonight, there is not a question that's not okay. Anything anybody wants to ask. If I know the answer, I will give you the answer. If I don't know the answer, I'll tell you that. If you raise issues that I think I can help with, I'll do my very best to help with those. Okay, I signed up as a DBO. I have 13 TCM. Okay, so I signed up as a DBO in December, did not make manager. I have 13 TCM. And so here's the answer. You can enroll 3 DBOs going forward, are now called FBOs, or you can enroll 7 more TCMs. When you enroll 7 more TCMs, boom, you've got 20. You are now a manager. Just DBOs became founders, or TCMs also. Just DBOs. There's no such thing as a founder position for a TCM. They said in the last call, only founders will get the community pool. No, that is a misunderstanding. The founder, there's 2 separate things. There is a desire to reward the founder, and that desire being born of what? Being born of the various deadlines. I mean, my gosh, Carol, I don't know, but you might have leaped at something because you were told you have to be a founder tonight. And then you found out a month later, oh, I could have done it tonight. And then you found out a month later, oh, I could have done it tonight, right? What we're trying to do is make people feel good about the decisions that they have made and not make anybody feel like this question was raised earlier, bait and switch. I promise you, folks, that has never been anywhere near the radar screen, nowhere near the radar screen. We want all the founders to feel good, but we don't want people who weren't founders to feel bad. And so if you completely eliminated the community bonus pool, said only founders get it, well, that means that only founders would get it, and that would make everybody else feel bad forever. And I know that there was a slide that said that. The fact that there was a slide doesn't mean it was right. The slide is wrong. Doris had just really popped that up and said the slide said this.
But then there would be like an actual benefit for trying hard to get that founder position. I don't know. It's kind of scammy either way, but you know what I mean.
The founders pool is separate from the community pool. The founders pool is not in the compensation plan as we speak. That is something that is going to be added. It will be small. And when I say small, I'm talking about a couple $100 a month. To pay somebody a lot of money because they just clicked on a button, that's not right. But to acknowledge that they did act on an incentive, that is right. And so it'll be a small ongoing thing. It does not replace the community bonus pool. The community bonus pool will be accessed via the similar to the way the compensation plan was always written, no change, and it'll start being paid when we have widespread card swiping going on. And now we all know. And I don't know when it will be, but that I do know that if anybody asks me, check back with me in 6 months. Now, you're correctly, the new FM price is going to be $50. That is correct. Let me see what else I've got here. I probably kept you guys here way too long.
Yes, Randy, you did. I'm ready for this to be over.
Do we have a Tranzact card? Yes. So somebody asked, do I have a Tranzact card Facebook account? It is called Digital Banking Professionals. That undoubtedly will change to something else. And folks, I've probably... And I see, Renee, that it maxed out capacity last time. I already did that, or we would have maxed out capacity this time too. So there'll be plenty of capacity. I don't have any problem with that. Folks, I probably kept you here long enough. I'm hoping that I've provided at least some clarity. I want all of it. Cut it to the bottom line. Here is the absolute bottom line to it. I have looked at this from the following perspective. Forget everything I ever heard about Tranzact card before today. I am measuring it based upon what the offering is today. And if I would not join this company based on today's offering, then I would not be here talking to you today. That is the truth. If I wouldn't join it, well, I'm sorry, I'd be here talking to you, but I wouldn't be telling you that I think this is a business we should be in. If I wouldn't join it today, if I would only join it based on what it's going to be like sometime in the future, then I would tell you that. If I would just say, you know what, I missed it, swing and a miss, I would tell you that. That is not the truth. Those people who are able to drop the baggage of what we believed it would be, and it is not. That is useless baggage, and instead pick up the...
No, the only reason you're here today is because it benefits you in some way, shape, or form. Like, that's clear.
Baggage of what it is and how it meets the needs of people that we have enrolled and how it will meet the needs of people that we will enroll, to the extent that we can pick up the useful baggage. And by the way, this is the moment. These are the times when leadership is expressed, and this is when the money is made. Leadership ranks, titles mean nothing. Expressions of leadership, those are what mean something. Those people who properly express leadership in the next 90 days will be rewarded in monumental fashion for it. This mirrors 3 other times in my life when literally nothing has gone right for 6 months. And by the way, in the other 3 experiences, it was 6 more months of nothing going right before things started to go well. I think we're ahead of the curve on that. But folks, I just want you to know I appreciate you. I value you. My only desire is to help. Promise you, the center of my day. That's my desire. So God bless you all. I appreciate you. And see you soon. Bye-bye.
So that's our update from our friend Randy. He gave us another full video based on Tranzact card now becoming FinMore banking or whatever the heck it is now. So hopefully hopefully he posts that video from Monday, or I can get a hold of that Zoom link so that way I can keep you guys updated. It sounds like he's going to go over the comp plan or something, so that'll be super interesting information. But again, if you guys are in this Tranzact card thing and FinMore and you're seeing these changes, I hope that you see it as a red flag and that you take a step back and decide not to move forward with it. If you do, proceed with caution. I don't think there's just so many red flags for this company that I don't think you're going to get what you were promised from the beginning, and even what was promised today based on what Randy said. I don't think it's going to be good moving forward. All my opinion, but that's what we know so far. You guys, Julie Anderson has also been doing a lot of updates on this. She is doing so well. She's so compassionate, and she's definitely explaining a lot more than me. I'm just kind of reacting to these to the Zoom calls and stuff and what people are being fed. And Julie Anderson is going over a lot more facts and stuff like that, whereas I know I'm kind of more of reaction content, reacting to what I see these coaches and these top people are telling their teams. So I think it is really awesome to have both sides and to kind of see where this company is going, has started from, and has gone. So if you want to stick around, please like and subscribe. I will keep those updates coming. And I've got more MLMs to talk about, and I have something spooky to talk about very soon. I'm doing some research on this guy, so it's going to be a good video. But yeah, I thank you guys for joining me. It's been very fun watching this video update for the what is now called FinMore. And I will see you guys on the next one. And again, thank you for joining me. Bye.